welcome back to this channel. So for today's video, you guys, I thought I would tell you about a funny, crazy horror story time about the time I worked at a clinic with a nail salon inside of it. So I was a nail tech inside of a medical clinic. Okay guys, so this is crazy. This happened in 2016. I had just gotten my nail license, I think December of 2015. So, you know, as all nail techs do after they graduate from nail school, they try to find a job, right? Well, back then, because now everybody works for themselves most of the time. But anyway, so I go to this, well, I was basically looking on Craigslist, or I put my resume on Craigslist, and I actually got in contact with the salon manager of this clinic, this shady clinic. So anyway, my manager, will call her Anna. Anna calls me and says that I want to come do an interview. So I go for the interview. I'm there and I'm sitting with the girl that was also looking to get hired for the nail tech position, and we're just there. We'll call her Cammy. And there's a man in front of me, and we'll call him Emilio, which Emilio was a relative to the salon owners. The salon owner's son ran it. So Emilio was there, and it started off as him asking me questions while I'm filling out my application, and he's asking Cammy, the nail tech, also about her personal stuff and things like he shouldn't be asking. It has nothing to do with getting hired for that job there, for a nail tech in a medical salon or medical. It's just annoying to think about sometimes. Anyway, looking for a job as a nail tech, working in a medical office. So he proceeded to ask me, oh, so do you have kids? Are you married? Things that don't pertain to him, none of his business. He's like, oh, I only ask because, you know, I am just trying to see how hard of a worker you're going to be, because most of the time when people have kids, they're hard workers. And I'm just like, whatever, you're not going to bullshit me. Anyway, so I'm just like, yes, I have a son. And he was like, are you married? I said no. At the time, me and my boyfriend had broken up or something. We were still on good terms though, but we were taking a break, and I was like, no, I'm not married or anything, but I do have a child. So anyway, I realized that the reason why he was trying to get at the young girls, not that I was super young at the time, but I was 26, but I found out that he was basically trying to compete with his, I think, nephew that was like 45. Emilio was like 50 something, 55 years old, 60, I don't know how old he was. Didn't look like he took care of himself. Literally drove the crappiest van that this MA used to make fun of him. We'll call her Sandra. Sandra would make fun of him all the time. But anyway, so he was just not the best looking guy, and I found that he was trying to compete with his nephew that was like in his mid-40s, because it turns out he had a 17-year-old girlfriend from Honduras or someplace. I don't know if it was El Salvador, wherever, it doesn't matter, from South America. And he basically was trying to get at every single girl there. So anyway, I proceed to finish my application. I ended up getting hired, so did Cammy. We were the two nail techs that got hired, and so it was 3 nail techs, me, Cammy, and the nail salon manager, Anna. So then they told us that they were gonna need all of us to come in, get to try out some scrub uniforms, because we were all going to be wearing scrubs, because that was everybody's uniform. The MAs, I think, had to wear, I forgot if we all had the same, no, we all had the same color actually, because, oh yeah, we did, we all got different colors, but everybody had the same. Everybody got to wear the same colors. Nobody really, we didn't really, I think it would have been better if they gave the nail techs a certain color and the MAs a certain color, because I feel like you couldn't mix everybody up like that. So we're there on another day getting fitted. There's a bunch of girls that started, a bunch of MAs, and the nail techs. So we decided also after that to do a trial run, because we were going to do a grand opening, and they needed us to market first. So they literally, I felt like this was more of a marketing job than a nail tech job. They had us market in front of a bodega and like plazas for a while, and I think like after a week or two they were like, okay, we have to out a bunch of flyers, and now we're gonna do a grand opening, so everybody prepare. And I'm just like, okay. But anyway, when we were marketing outside, I found out one of the girls there, it was a cute little nice 19-year-old Colombian girl that just got here from Colombia. Sweetest girl though, we'll call her Alyssa. and she was the sweetest girl. But she told me that Emilio, the creep, found her working at a Dunkin' Donuts. She was getting yelled at by her boss. He was there getting coffee, and he was like trying to play Mr. Hero and was like, I'm gonna take you out of here. You don't have to be here. I'm gonna get you a medical job. And she was, you know, just got here from another country. To her, this sounds great. Gets her into medical MA school, and I don't know how, the guy had no credit, no money, no nothing. Was driving a rundown van at 50 whatever years old. So like, I'm pretty sure this was his way of spitting game at her, thinking like, oh, she's from another country, she's young and impressionable, I could take control over her, like, you know, oh freaking. So she was grateful for that, obviously, but she told me that I think a lot of girls, when they get here, like, obviously they are looking for their come up and they're gonna figure it out one way or another, but whatever. So she was grateful for it, because when everybody would talk ish about him, she would always defend him and say, or she wouldn't defend him, she would just say, you know why I don't talk ish? Because he took me out of a horrible position and he got me this job. So I was just like, I totally understand, but still. Anyway, that's what I found out. So there was a manager in the front. Well, was the medical office manager, and turns out she stole, I think, money from the scrubs somehow. I don't know, we'll get into that later. But yeah, so we're opening on grand opening day after a couple weeks of marketing in the hot Florida sun, and we go on our first day. And we had a trial run with the girls, so it's already grand opening. We already did the trial run with the girls. Anna, the salon manager, was telling me, oh, you do such a good job, you're really good, blah blah blah. And I'm just like, I don't think that sounds good coming from her, because she's been doing this longer than me and she's the boss. Grand opening comes, people come for the free snacks, the free pedicures, free manicures, the free food, you know what I mean, the free drinks. People didn't really want to sign up. I think people were just coming, you know, for the free stuff. We didn't really get a lot of people. We get their, obviously, applications so they could sign up, but like, obviously nobody was really, the place was so slow. It was just a horrible marketing strategy. I don't know why they decided to open it in the first place. Well, a couple days passed after the grand opening. I started peeping a game and how things were ran there. Emilio would be verbally abusive to all the girls. He would be flirting and verbally abusive. It was just really weird. But he tried to be well, he was condescending, but he tried to be like the person that ran this show. He was on a power trip for no damn reason. Like, he really didn't need to be on a power trip, but anyway, he was on a power trip thinking he owned a damn place. So Emilio made, I think, the manager, the front desk manager, cry, because they would fight back and forth, and then he would tell her she's not competent enough, and even though he's not competent for nothing. But anyway, he made my boss cry, because it was like a lot of pressure putting on her. She was the one having to, I think, she helped build the salon. She was the one that said, we need this, we need pedicures, we need this. She ordered the colors, blah 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 blah. She went up and down to get all the supplies. The guy made her feel like crap. Rudy was the son of the owner. Rudy wasn't really there because he owned a Spanish Central American restaurant in the area, and his restaurant did really well, but this medical office went nowhere. Anyway, the medical office was really for his mom though. Anyway, basically would let us eat at his restaurant for free, which is nice. He was such a nice guy, even though like it's kind of creepy that he was with that 17-year-old girl. But anyway, nice guy. I think we got paid, let me see, I'm all over the place, but I think I was getting paid like $11 an hour, and the MAs were only getting $12 to $14 an hour, which was back in 2016. I don't know, to be honest. It wasn't too bad for me starting off, because one, he was paying cash and I was like, whatever, I wasn't thinking about anything else at the time. I was like, that's not bad. I was getting $450 a week, not too bad for back then. I found out that salons were actually paying that anyway, and this job was super easy because obviously nobody was coming in, and they really had us marketing outside. And at one point, I think there was only a couple girls. Some girls would quit because they couldn't deal with him anymore, but they would go somewhere else. Anyway, so at one point the clinic wasn't doing well and they decided to fire everybody, so everybody got fired. The front desk manager somehow 2 weeks later convinces Rudy to reopen the place and says like, no, it'll be fine. He calls everybody back. Everybody does not return. Alyssa, the little Colombian girl, the sweet girl that was working at Dunkin' Donuts, doesn't come back, which I think is funny because the only reason she was there was because of Emilio, and Emilio wanted her to be there so that he could date her, but that didn't work out in his favor. It's kind of funny. But she doesn't come back. My boss doesn't come back. I think Cammy, the nail tech, got fired. Like, Emilio didn't like her, so he made sure she didn't come back or something like that. A lot of girls in the front didn't come back. So it was just me, Sandra, which was one of the medical assistants in the front. I think what's her name got fired. The manager got fired because they found out she stole from the scrubs or something. She lied because when we were trying on the scrubs, everybody looked at her and were like, how come you got different scrubs? That fabric looks pretty nice. And she was like, oh, I had credit for my other job. They, you know, like, that's why. But turns out Sandra found out that that was a lie, and she actually stole extra. Basically, she let Rudy pay extra for her stuff. So in a sense, he saw it as she stole from me. Fired her. So it's just me, Sandra, and who else was there? That's it. Everybody was gone. So it's just me and her, and it's just really weird. Nothing's going on. Me and her are still marketing. We really weren't doing nothing because we obviously were like, this place ain't going nowhere. Nobody comes in. We started throwing the freaking flyers in the garbage. We were like, this place is a mess. We found out that the doctor that was there, the primary care doctor, you guys, I think he went to jail for sexually assaulting nurses and staff at his old job, allegedly. He was getting $4,000 a week for doing nothing because nobody was coming in, and we were getting, well, I was getting $440. I think she was getting like maybe a couple, I don't know how much more, maybe like $500. The MA, Sandra. And yeah, we were getting our money very comfortably because nothing was going on. We were just going out and marketing, and honestly we were just not really marketing. We'd hand out a couple flyers, put them on the cars at the VA hospital, handed out to people there, or some plazas, just putting it on the cars and stuff. And then we would go out for lunch and come home, go to Starbucks, I mean not come home, come back to the clinic, and really do nothing. Like, seriously, we would be on the computer all day doing YouTube, watch. Okay, camera turned off. But anyway, we would just be watching YouTube videos, and we would be on our phones and not doing much. Marketing, coming back, Starbucks again. Emilio was still there though, and he was still being rude and trying to like get at us and stuff like that, and we were just like, ew, we don't freaking like you. And Sandra was kind of funny because she would make him feel so dumb, because she would be like, oh my gosh, your car is so old. Then she found out like he was living like in this poverty area, and his house was really sad looking. He had nobody, he had no money, and we were like, that's probably why he's a jerk. It's just miserable or something. I don't know. As sad as that sounds, like, you don't have to be a jerk too. Amelia would come in and try to be the big shot and be flirtatious and just rude and condescending. So yeah, Sandra would just make fun of the whole place all day. She would say things like, this place is you know, a crazy like circus. Like, literally the doctor is on the news. Like, we googled him, well, she googled him and found out a bunch of that stuff. Basically a pervert, she said. She's like, our doctor's a pervert, Emilio's the P word, so is Rudy. And she was like saying something like, you know, basically like making fun of the whole situation. But she had a point. It obviously was a hot mess. But sometimes Rudy would come in with a 17-year-old girlfriend, and it was just me and his 17-year-old girlfriend. We'll call her Letty. And Letty would come in, and sometimes he'd bring her in just so I could do her pedicure and nails, and I'd be like, I don't got nothing else to do, and I don't mind. So she was sweet though. I found out a lot about her. Turns out her mom told her, like, if you go to America, you better find a rich guy, and that's your come up. So I guess she just did what her mother told her to do. Sandra kind of like would make her feel bad, like, you need to brush your hair, you need to do your eyebrows, like, you're with like a guy with money and look how you look. And I would look at her like, what in the world? Like, you don't see that. But she was nice. I liked her. She was sweet. One time we went out and she even paid for our food, and she didn't have to do that. Like, you know what I mean? And I guess it was like Rudy would be giving her money, obviously. And one time when we went out to eat, Sandra was like, don't spend your money, Letty. Like, if he's giving you money, be very smart, save it, or in case you ever want to leave him. You know, just trying to get her to be like, don't let him just control you and stuff. Have a backup plan. One day when me and Sandra were there watching her little YouTube videos, I think Emilio comes in and he was just like saying something like, can one of you guys do something for me? I was pretty good on the computer. I think Sandra was surprised because she couldn't figure out how to upload files onto the computer from the patient that would come in, the few that came in. I would tell her, like, how come on the software there's like an option where you can upload their information, so that way you don't have to keep storing things in these physical files? Why don't you just put it? She's like, oh, I don't know, like the machine doesn't let me do it. And I was just like, all you gotta do is scan it on there somehow. And she's like, well, I don't know how to do it. I tried. So I was like, let me see. So I just figured out how to do it, and I was like, there you go, like they're up there. And she was like, how did you learn how to do? Like, she was all shocked. I'm like, you think because I'm just a nail tech I don't know how to do anything with computers or something? But anyway, so Emilio comes in one day and he's like, can you do this for me? So I was like, sure. Sandra went on her lunch break. She wasn't there, so I was there, and Emilio asked me, his little pervert, rude, condescending self asked me to do something on the computer, and I was like, sure, hold on 1 second, let me do it. So I started doing it, and he was like, don't do it like this, you need to do this, you need to hurry up, are you stupid? And I was like, excuse me. I was like, now I see why these girls leave having panic attacks and crying because he's freaking ass to them. So I was like, excuse me? And I was like, you don't have to be rude, like I'm literally doing it. And he was like, well, if you don't like it, you can leave, which reminded me of another story time in another nail salon. If you guys want to know, let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, when I was working at this like Asian salon. But anyway, so he was being rude, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave. So anyway, I leave. On my way home, I'm driving. I had already called my boyfriend and told him, because we were still on good terms even though we had broken up or something. I told him what happened, and then I get a phone call from her, and she's like, I told Rudy and he's saying that he's gonna fire him. And I was like, well, I need to go back because I forgot my scrubs. So before she said that, before all that happened, I go back and get my scrubs, and I asked my boyfriend to go with me because I'm a sweetheart. I'm a sensitive person. I'm not out to get nobody. But he's, you know how yin and yang. I'm the sweetheart. I'm the nice one, the sensitive one. Good and evil. I'm good. He's like, doesn't mind being evil, basically. He's like, you're the good one. Let me be the evil one, because that's not you. So he protects me. He's like, you don't have to be a bad person. I'll be the bad person for you. He's always been like that with me. So I go to the house. I think I picked him up or something. So I was like, do you want to go get my scrubs with me? Because I don't want to go back there because I had already been crying. And he saw me crying. So we went and I got my scrubs. And I got mad while I was there. I don't know what happened. Emilio said something to me, and I was like, don't talk to me. That's why you're a freaking asshole. That's why you have nothing, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's why nobody likes you. And my boyfriend was like, calm down. And he was like trying to say something to me. And my boyfriend was like, don't talk to her. You already made her upset. I don't like to see my girlfriend cry, so you need to watch your mouth. So I get my stuff and I leave. But anyway, that's when Sandra called me and said that he was fired. After I left, she was like, he was fired, Rudy. And then Rudy called me and he's like, I don't want you to leave, I want him to leave. So he ended up firing him. I ended up staying, and for like 2 or 3 weeks, like I said. It was only 2 or 3 weeks, but I ended up staying. He told us to lock the doors and we would be fine. But after that, he closed the place down. It didn't go nowhere. It was just a hot mess. And that was my horrible experience there. It was definitely weird. Shady doctor, shady everything. Like, everything was weird. But anyway, guys, that was my story time. I tried to do it as fast as I could. It was just too much information. If you guys want to know some other story times of my nail salon experiences or working as a nail tech, let me know in the comments down below. I will be happy to bring them out. I would like to incorporate more of these videos. Thank you guys so much, and until next time, bye guys.